Gold fever began quietly, without announcements or fanfare, but it would soon erupt into one of the most chaotic events in American history. It would forever change California and the idea of the American dream. On a frigid January morning in 1848, James Wilson Marshall, a carpenter, noticed something unusual in the waters of the American River. Marshall was working for Swiss immigrant John Sutter, who owned the land where the river ran. As sunlight reflected off the water, small golden flakes shimmered among the stones. Marshall picked one up and examined it carefully, intrigued by the glimmer. He tested the metal the old-fashioned way, biting it lightly, and realized it was pure, 23-karat gold. Marshall was amazed, knowing the discovery could change his life forever. John Sutter, however, did not celebrate the discovery and instead panicked. He feared that if the news spread, his agricultural dreams would be destroyed. Sutter had hoped to build a prosperous farm and sawmill far from the chaos of the East. He did not want his land to become the center of a gold frenzy. Sutter and Marshall agreed to keep the discovery secret. But gold does not remain hidden for long. Rumors of Marshall's discovery soon reached San Francisco. A sharp-eyed businessman named Sam Brannan heard the news. Instead of mining, Brannan saw an opportunity to profit from others' labor. He bought every pickaxe, pan, and shovel in the city. This ensured that anyone who wanted to mine would have to buy tools from him. Brannan ran through the streets holding a bottle of gold dust, shouting, "Gold, gold, gold from the American River." The effect was immediate and overwhelming. San Francisco emptied almost overnight as men abandoned their farms, jobs, and families. The California gold rush had begun. It drew hundreds of thousands of people from the United States and across the globe. Europeans, Australians, Chinese, and Latin Americans all rushed to California. These fortune seekers became known as the 49ers. Traveling to California was a dangerous and life-threatening undertaking. There were no planes, trains, or highways to ease the journey. One option was the Overland Trail, a 2,000-mile trek across deserts and mountains. Travelers faced starvation, disease, and deadly conditions along the way. Thousands died from cholera, dehydration, and accidents. Another option was the Panama route, which required sailing to the isthmus. Travelers had to cross dense, mosquito-infested jungles on foot. Many died of malaria or yellow fever before reaching a ship on the Pacific coast. The third option was the Cape Horn route, sailing around South America. This took months through storms, freezing seas, and spoiled provisions. Despite the dangers, the 49ers pressed forward with hope and determination. Upon arrival, many faced the harsh reality of the mines. Gold was much harder to find than the stories had suggested. Mining required back-breaking labor, standing in icy rivers for hours. Miners sifted through tons of dirt, often finding only tiny specks of gold. The cost of living was astronomical due to inflation from the sudden influx of people. An egg could cost $3, a pound of butter $6, and boots over $100. Most miners spent whatever gold they found just to survive. Many lived in tent cities lacking sanitation, law enforcement, or medical care. Violence and disputes were common, often settled with fists or guns. While miners struggled, others prospered by supplying goods and services. Merchants became wealthier than the miners themselves. Levi Strauss sold durable pants to miners, creating the first blue jeans. Wells Fargo provided banking and transport services to the rush. Studebaker sold wheelbarrows before cars existed. Armour supplied meat to the hungry miners. These merchants profited without ever touching a pan of dirt. The gold rush also had a devastating human cost. Native American communities were destroyed, displaced, or killed. Their population declined from roughly 150,000 in 1848 to 30,000 by 1870. The land itself suffered as hydraulic mining blasted mountains into rivers. Floods, ruined farmlands, and pollution followed for decades. Racism and discrimination were rampant during the rush. Chinese and Mexican miners were targeted and forced to pay the foreign miners tax. Despite these hardships, California transformed rapidly during this period. It grew from a sparsely populated frontier into an economic hub. San Francisco expanded from 200 residents to 36,000 in just 2 years. Ships abandoned by crews were eventually buried beneath the city streets. The gold rush taught Americans that risk and innovation could yield extraordinary rewards. It embedded the idea of the California dream into the nation's culture. Even after the easy gold was exhausted by 1855, the social and economic impacts endured. John Sutter died bankrupt, and James Marshall died poor and largely forgotten. Yet their land had become a global center of commerce. The rush spurred the development of infrastructure, trade, and settlements across California. It inspired generations to seek opportunity and reinvent themselves. The 49ers' courage and determination set a precedent for American ambition. It revealed both the promise and the peril of chasing instant fortune. Chaos, greed, ingenuity, and violence all played roles in shaping the era. The gold rush left a lasting imprint on California's economy and society. From abandoned towns to booming cities, the landscape of the West was transformed. Merchants who served miners became enduring business empires. The rush accelerated migration and urbanization in ways previously unseen. It solidified California's place as a land of opportunity and reinvention. Even as the physical gold dwindled, the dreams it inspired persisted. The gold rush proved that perseverance and risk could lead to remarkable rewards. It also exposed the costs of human ambition, inequality, and environmental destruction. The story of the 49ers remains a testament to human courage and folly. From the first glimmer in Marshall's hands to modern San Francisco, the legacy endures. California became synonymous with opportunity and adventure. The chaos, greed, and ingenuity of those years built the American West. Gold fever reshaped not only a land but the people who sought to claim it. The rush accelerated commerce, infrastructure, and population growth. It demonstrated that fortune rarely came to those who toiled hardest, but often to those who supplied the dream. Lessons from the gold rush still resonate today in stories of entrepreneurship and risk. The California dream was born from mud, sweat, and a few flecks of gold. It set a cultural precedent for the American frontier spirit. From the 49ers to Silicon Valley innovators, the pursuit of opportunity continues. Gold fever was more than a hunt for wealth. It was a catalyst for transformation and ambition. The California gold rush remains one of the most dramatic and defining chapters in American history.